the Evergreen Media Network Studios, brought to you by Evergreen Media, creating cohesive marketing campaigns. Evergreen Media in Vero Beach.
Heathcote Botanical Gardens presents Can You Dig It? Here's your host, Vicki Hoyos.
Well, hey there, and welcome. Golly, it's December already. The 5th. It's disgusting. December is here. So the fall is gone. December is here. We are here today talking about Garden of Lights. But before we get started, we wanted to thank our sponsors for underwriting today, and that's the Division of Arts and Culture, and as well as Visit St. Lucie. And so today I have with me Laura Cooper. Hey, Laura Cooper.
Hey, Vicki. How are you today?
I'm good. Hey, Laura Cooper is our head illuminator. We call her our head elf. She's not very elf-ish, but but she is there. So how you doing? Are you scared? Are you nervous? What do you feel?
A little bit nervous. I've never done this thing before.
Anything before? Okay. Well, thank you. So for those who don't know you, tell us a little bit about how you got involved with Garden of Lights, Heathcote Botanical Gardens.
All right. So I think about 8 years ago, we were looking for a place to volunteer with our daughters. We homeschooled, and they were looking for volunteer hours. So we found Heathcote Botanical Gardens. Had never heard of the place. It's tucked in very well in the corner there of Fort Pierce. And so we weeded for the first couple of weeks, and then we got involved with Garden of Lights, and we did parking, and then we got involved with the creation portion of it. And so we have been involved in every facet of it for about the last 8 years.
Oh my gosh, so it started with weeding.
It did start with weeding.
And right into Garden of Lights. Wow. Yeah. Okay. So when you did Garden of Lights, were you just attending the event, or did they get you into the actual creation type of model that we subscribe to? Well,
the very first jobs that we had were during the event. So parking, being a docent, working the s'mores table. And I was still very busy during the day as a mother, and so I was unable to be part of the creation team. But after I worked myself out of my homeschooling job, I was able to spend time at the garden during the day, and Tom Salmon and Judy Salmon, the original bringers of Garden of Lights to Heathcote, they got me in on the creation portion and taught me how, trial by fire, to do the creation portion of flowers and critters that we use.
Wow, okay. All right, so what can we attribute to you in the garden now? What thing is you that has your fingerprints all over it?
Well, I guess the Atala bed would be the thing that I have done pretty much creatively on my own, but I've also had a hand in the Pioneer bed, creating like the red cabbages and the cauliflower, things like that. But it was one of the very first things, a grape arbor. What else have I done? The main lawn this year was my brainchild, and we're using the blue net lights, and we've made an oxbow river with a waterfall and a bear fishing and catching a rainbow trout and jumping fish, and it's quite elaborate.
Yeah, it was interesting for me because, earlier this year we had the big laurel oak that was taken down that unfortunately passed.
Yes.
And so, oh gosh, that's such a respectful way. It died.
It did.
It passed. It went away. Beautiful tree. And so I went out one of the first nights when the lights came on, and I was, oh my gosh, look how big this is. It's a huge lawn. And it's just amazing how we've intertwined all of the, like the lazy river coming through there, through the whole thing. And so it's just absolutely stunning, and how on each kind of curve we have a different creature or animal.
Yes.
And so that's really kind of neat. What are some of the things that those animals that we have out there?
Well, we have a couple of flamingos and an egret. We have a koi fish or a carp. We have a turtle, a reindeer, a moving reindeer. And then we have the bear that's fishing and some jumping fish. I believe that. A swan.
Mm-hmm.
I think that covers the animals.
Yeah, very, very cool. All right, so I asked this question of Judy Salmon on Friday night, and I said, okay, Judy, exactly how many lights do we have? And she went,
That's a very good question.
Yeah, but she said to give you some idea of what we have, she said the Peacock that we have has just under 1,500 lights just on that one fixture.
That's right. And then I just finished repairing the Crab, and he has at least 500 lights, maybe 750. Mm-hmm. So the Mermaid, she looks like she probably has a couple thousand lights on her body. Yes.
Wow. And that's just a few little tidbits through the year. So for those of you who have not been out to Heathcote, it is a walking tour through the gardens. So pretty much each area has its own kind of theme, I would say. So the main lawn is typically always given to some sort of water feature, whether it's a pond or like now the lazy river kind of stream thing. But we also, a thing I liked this year too is we went back to doing the flower bed. So we have an actual bed there. But then they took, Barb Lasher took the vintage tub that we have, and she made a bubble bath, It's
amazing. The bed and spa, and the flowers that are on the bed are strings of recycled bottles that we've made into flowers.
Oh, very cool. Uh-huh.
And she's laid them out to look like a quilt on top of the bed.
Wow.
It's stunning this year.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Wow. Very, very cool. Very cool. Now, we talked about lights. Do we have every bonsai tree lit, or just like every other?
We do not have every bonsai tree. There were certain ones that Tom Kehoe, the bonsai master, marked for us to not.
Okay.
And so we have spotlights and uplights on those to show their undercarriage, I guess, to show the trunks that are so very delicate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's one in there. I don't even remember what it's called. I think it's like, I would call it like an elephant ear, but it has such a majestic trunk on it that, yes, it has uplighting on it. And I love that one because I said, gosh, if I were still playing with my Barbies, that would be like would be Barbie's house,
That's great.
I'm like, oh, Barbie would love that. I mean, she lived in a high rise, but she would like a jungle tree house. But back to Garden of Lights. So many amazing things. We had talked about earlier this past weekend, we finished our second weekend, which was our fourth night. I think we had between the two nights almost 1,700 people come through, which was
fantastic.
Amazing for us. We're really, really thankful to our sponsors. And if we can take a moment, I'd like to thank them as well. The whole presentation is done by Coastal Electrical Service. We have mechanical air conditioning. Then we have the Lechtenberg Family Foundation at the Community Foundation of Martin St. Lucie. We have the Brown family, the Boys and Girls Club of St. Lucie, Buckland Insurance, Children's Services Council, City of Fort Pierce, Garber Fort Pierce, Judy Salmon, Nelson Family Farms, Public Works of Fort Pierce, Seacoast Bank, St. Lucie Draft House, Stephen Cooper, gosh, that name sounds familiar, and the St. Lucie Mets. We have S&J Enterprises, Florida Smart Insurance, Melvin Family, Merrily Minardi, FPUA, the Fort Pierce Yacht Club, and the Gordon family.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, we are really, really thankful for all of them. And it was exciting. We had our VIP sponsor night on Wednesday night, which you went to, and that was lovely because Michael Nugent, who's a dear, dear friend of the gardens, did all the decorating for us.
It was beautiful.
It was beautiful. He did this beautiful Florida-themed in blue and whites and turquoises, and he gave a Florida spin on Christmas.
Absolutely.
And it was just stunning. And so it's like the creativity of the illuminators and the decorators. Like, oh my gosh, what happened? Where's mine? Where's mine? I missed out. What did I not draw outside the lines, color outside the lines when I was a kid too much? I don't know, but it's really, really fascinating. So,
well, let me say this: it doesn't take a really special person to create the lights. When Tom and Judy first started teaching me how to do it, I got very frustrated because it's not what I thought it should look like. But our aim is to make an illusion and to draw the eye to see what we're trying to get the guests to see in the garden. Like the fox does not really look like a fox unless you follow the lines with your eyes of the lights. And if you were to just throw the lights on the actual topiary, it would look nothing like it should. It would not draw the eye to see the outline. So they taught me how to kind of zip tie the light bulbs down on the structure, all leading in the same way, and, trial by fire. And I had to redo several things to get it right according to my eye even. So I'd like to encourage people to come out and become part of the creative team. We would love to have new members. Come on, y'all.
Well, so we do, as we wrap down at the end of December 30th is our last night. So we'll probably have what we call a wrap-up session in January, and then we'll kick off with trying to decide what's a keeper, what needs to be changed out. Do you have any thoughts about what you'd like to do different next year, or any new things we've added? Because this year, the thing we added is the Secret Garden Cinderella carriage. And so we're not showing you a picture of that because we really want you to come out and see that. It's not so secret anymore, but it's absolutely stunning. But is there anything else that you're thinking of that we could do a little bit different, or just would be that awe kind of thing next year?
Well, I do have a couple of little ideas up my sleeve, but I'd like to introduce 2 new critters next year. I'd like to introduce a river otter and an owl. And I've been talking with a couple of new illuminators, Elise Kelly and Megan Cates, thank you. And so Elise is affiliated with, what's the group? Uplift? So she does soldering, welding is what she does.
She really?
Yes, she does. She does welding with these kids. And she has said that she could probably work on getting us an otter and an owl.
Oh, Project Lift. That's what
Project Lift. Yes.
Okay, there you go. Okay.
Yes. So those are 2 new things that I definitely want to see next year. But I have a couple of little surprises I'd like to bring to the creative team and see what they think. So
okay. So what would your ideal or less than ideal candidate be for a volunteer coming in? What do you just require, just time-wise or talent-wise?
Talent-wise, just be willing to come and spend time with a group of very diverse people and get along and put your hands out and start moving things and ask questions, just zip tying things. And what was the other question? I'm sorry.
I don't know, like a minimum skill, a time commitment,
time commitment. Well, time commitment for creation, really, we try to have a workshop once every 2 weeks, and they last 2 to 3 hours. You're not required to be at every one. You can actually start a project at the garden and take it home and work on it. You're welcome to bring project ideas to the table. We do like for all of our light creations to be of light, where we like the handcrafted, because our volunteers have crafted our lights. We don't really use store-bought. So that's one of the requirements that we really try to keep to. But really, the time commitment is as much as you can give or as little as you can give. And even while we're putting up, if you can come in for an hour, that's 1 or 2 bonsai trees wrapped. So that's very helpful if you can just give an hour. I'm grateful for that. And we need help taking it down too in January.
I was just going to say, yeah. Why don't you start by helping to take it down? Yeah,
that's a good way to start, because then you can see how all the connections are made and how things are wrapped.
Well, we did that last year because I always felt like we as staff, we can't just sit in the house and just say, okay, hi guys out there, have fun. But we really got out there into the gardens last year to help take down some things. And I got into the one bed area during the entrance that is just like all this up, all these, where we took the photograph for the luminaries.
The main bed.
And started taking it apart. And I'm like, oh golly, oh God, and pulling, and you're like, okay, and then you're sorting because everything is by color, it's by size, and you're like, wow, and it's like amazing stuff. It's like I was floored. I was floored.
Sheds new light.
Pun definitely intended, right? But yeah, it was like, wow, okay. And even now, trying to get some of the staff out there to help and set up and things, or be there during the event. But we are still going Friday and Saturday nights through December 30th from 5:30 to 9. It is a magical place, and I will tell you some of the comments that we've heard. We hear a lot of them. Magical is one that comes up. Charming comes up. So enchanting. I love this. This is my 8th year coming. It's funny, too, because I ran into somebody at the Rotary where I belong, and I said, okay, you're coming to Garden Lights. He goes, my kids make me. He said, I enjoy coming. He says, but that's our tradition. He said, I brought my kids, and now my grandkids demand that we all go as a family. And I thought, wow. And isn't that funny how we talk about how quickly time flies, that in just 8 or 9 years, these families have gone from being these teenagers to young adults with now kids who are wanting to see the lights. And it's truly, truly special. Also, as we talk about special, at your request, you asked us to think about this year doing something for special needs. And so,
I'm so happy about this new event.
Yeah.
December 21st, we're having a night for special needs children and adults. And I'll let Vicki give the details.
Yeah. So it's by invitation. So we have partnered with several agencies here on the Treasure Coast because I think the way you described it was that a lot of these individuals with cognitive and limitations, that they don't like large crowds, and so they don't normally come out to something the size of Garden of Lights. And so we have made a modified version from 5 to 7:30 on the 21st by invitation, so that we can control it. So we're feeding them. We've got some sensory art projects going on. Santa has put his schedule on hold at the North Pole to be there. Photo opportunities. We are partnering with the Boys and Girls Club on that event, Children's Services Council, as well as Impact 100. The ladies will be coming out to be docents and volunteers. And
That's
great. So we're really, really thrilled that we're able to do that. So we're crossing our fingers. We're thanking the Lord that, the idea was launched. Everybody has accepted it. And it looks like it's really going to be really, really fun to be able to allow us to share this beautiful product that we have that, they wouldn't otherwise get to see. And the feedback I'm getting is like, thank you so much for doing that. And so we're like, that to us, that's a community service. How better to really share and embrace this population of people who sometimes are not thought of. So,
Absolutely.
So thank you for saying that. I keep hitting this thing. I'm so sorry. But I really appreciate that so much for doing that. What I'd probably like to do is get ready to take a commercial, because when we come back, I have something that we found in the garden that I wanted to share with you.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll go to a commercial break. Thank you.
Exciting.
Right now at Sunshine Furniture, it's holiday sale time, so you can save up to 50% on selected groups of indoor and outdoor furniture from Lloyd Flanders, Telescope, Windward, Capri, Seawinds, Universal, and lots more. Sofas, love seats, dining sets, patio groups, occasional chairs, bedroom sets, all on sale just in time to make Santa say ho, ho, ho. Also, all pictures, lamps, and accessories are half off. And don't forget to visit our outlet and sales store just across the street from our main location for lots of great holiday bargains. Sunshine Furniture, 1295 US 1 in the Publix Plaza next to Planet Fitness in Vero Beach. Visit our website at sunshinefurniturecasual.com.
Sunshine Furniture brightens up your day. Sunshine Furniture, the best in every way. Ooh, have a sunshine day. Sunshine Furniture.
Well, thanks for coming back. And we're here with Laura Cooper, who is our head illuminator, head elf. But Laura, I wanted to tell you something. it was probably about a month ago. We have the relationship with Dr. Joe Pat from the USDA,
Yes.
who's doing some research on citrus screening. And he came to me and he said, hey, we need to do a new research project. We have a bee in the garden that's called an orchid bee. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. What is that? Like, I don't know. And he goes, it's a bee that's probably about the size of my pinky nail. And he said it's iridescent. So it's greens and blues. It's just strikingly beautiful. And he said they have the ability to just hover. So almost like a hummingbird would. And so these bees, and then I realized I had seen it because I'd walk a path in the morning and I'd say, what is that? And it would be hovering. But it's an orchid bee. And what they do is they pollinate orchids. And I'm like, okay, And he said, no. He said they're from the Yucatan. They're from Central America. They were found here in the 1970s. He said they're in our garden. And he said, and they have this unique, very strong sense of smell. And he said, now, the females are the stingers. Okay, so yeah.
The singers?
Stingers. Stingers. Yeah, they probably sing too, but they're stingers, okay? But the males are the ones who do a lot of the pollinating. And so they have such a great sense of smell that he took a Q-tip and he put it in clove oil and he hung it off of a tree. And within 15 minutes, he had 7 bees hovering around it.
That's amazing.
It was amazing, right? So he said the females are unlike honeybees. He said they actually are solitary. They raise their eggs, pups, whatever you call them, individually, literally in small spaces, like you can put out a little box. And the females would find it, they would lay their eggs in there, they would coat them in the pollen. Each one could potentially have a different pollen on it. He said, but what is really neat about the male bees is that a couple of things. There's one orchid that has oil on it. And so the male bees have these little pads on their front feet, paws, things. And so they rub the oil off. And then they have these pockets on their back legs, and they put the oil in the pockets, and it helps their pheromones increase so they can get females. And I'm like, they're bees with pockets, like with cargo pants, okay? Then he said, then they're really cool. He said there are other orchids that sometimes are closed up like a ball. And when they open, you can't see the pollen because the pollen is in a little ball. And the way the pollen comes out is there's a little tiny pore. And so what these orchid bees can do is they disjoint their wings a little bit and they buzz, they vibrate the plant. And so then the pollen comes out the little pore and they're able to get it.
That's very cool.
And he said, and they can go to one type of orchid and they'll put the pollen on their head. And then they can go to another orchid and they can put it on their shoulder and another one over here. And they never cross-contaminate.
So it's like going in and trying all the perfumes on at the perfume counter and putting a different scent on each body part.
Yes, exactly. So it's so fascinating. So what we're doing is he's helping us to design some curriculum for children, to create a station where we can do that. And then he wants us to partner with a university in South Florida where they can come up and these graduate students can do their thesis statements and monitor them because these pollinators not only do orchids, but they can do tomatoes, peppers, and watermelons.
Oh.
And so, but there's also a type of tomato that may not be great that we don't want them necessarily pollinating. So, but it's really interesting that we have this orchid bee right there in the garden. It's fascinating. They're beautiful little tiny things. And to hear all the different things that they can do, I'm just like I'm like a science geek now. I never liked that stuff. But it's better than math because, math is, we know, from the devil. But, it's really, really, really fascinating. So anyway, wanted to share that with you. So when you're out there, don't swat them. Those are really living
That's
creatures.
amazing.
Yeah.
Dr. Joe Pat, he brings a lot of interesting experiments to
Yes,
us.
yeah, he sure does. So, anyway, that's about it for today. We wanted to thank Laura Cooper, our head elf for Garden of Lights. We want you to come out there, spend some time with her, get to know her. You could certainly be an elf as well. We invite you to come out for Garden of Lights. It's a fun, beautiful, family-friendly food, music, Santa, tons and tons and tons of lights, and great personalities. So,
Thank you for having me.
oh, you're very welcome. Thanks for coming out. So you all have a great day, and we know you want to come to the garden, so I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Have a great day.